Gentlemen, and welcome back to SF Live. I'm Myrna Lim, your host. Tonight we have a very special guest. You can call her a Filipina power broker in San Francisco, in California, and or some people might say, you know what? She would be the beautiful, smart, intelligent, nice version of Rose Pack. I told her that, and I'm not sure if she liked that. But in any event, ladies and gentlemen, she's the president of the Filipina Women's Network, and she has produced the Filipino version of the Vagina Monologue since 8 years ago. And I'm so delighted that she's joining us tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, Myrna Lim Mondejar. Hi, Myrna, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Anyway, Roseback, well, you're the beautiful, sexy, smart version of Roseback.
I don't think Roseback would like that.
Anyway, let's talk about you have accomplished so much. You have formed the Filipino Women's Network from nothing, correct? And now the Filipino Women's Network is probably one of the most visible, if not the most visible, Filipino women's organization in the country, right? Okay, tell us about the Filipino Women's Network.
I should say that I really didn't start from nothing because I took over a fledgling organization, which is already called the Filipino Women's Network in about 2001, 2002. Right. I was actually invited to speak to the group. They were an ad hoc organization. They were meeting occasionally, and I just really loved the group. And the organizer, Verna Tintianco, was moving to Oregon, and so she was looking for someone to take over. I'm an organization consultant, so when I said, "Oh yeah, I'll take over," I looked for a co-chair. I said maybe put some structure into it. And you're right, we have really grown the organization from about 50 members to over 10,000 list members, nationwide. So through the years.
People actually have to pay for that too, right? It's not free.
Yes, it is a professional, nonpartisan membership association. And in order for us to survive, we do have membership dues.
Right.
But
I'm just trying to say that it's really, when you say 10,500 people, that's a serious number of membership.
Yeah, and these are people that we have built and collected over the years. So we're almost 10 years old. And when we started FWN, we decided that we wanted to utilize technology.
Right.
Because we really did not have an office, and, we didn't have staff. And we wanted to tap those who had emails. And so through the years, we've collected all these individuals all over the U.S. And I would say about 10% are probably men. And supporters, our sponsors, and of course those who support the organization.
Right.
And about 19 states are represented in that list.
Now, one of the big accomplishments, I guess, for Filipino Women's Network is the fact that in your goal to educate the public regarding domestic violence, you have pretty much taken over the Vagina Monologue as part of your roster of performances.
Yes. When we were researching what really Filipino women in the U.S. need, we found that domestic violence is one of the barriers to achievement and to success. I met Eve Ensler in 2003.
Oh, that's just wonderful.
And that's really how I got into the Vagina Monologues. So initially we thought this would be a great show to put on. People like to speak, and maybe we'll put on a fundraiser, not realizing that domestic violence is a serious issue in our community. And plus also we wanted to get behind the help solve the murder of Claire Joyce Timponko, who was murdered in front of her 2 children. So we have taken the show to New York, to Washington, D.C., to Las Vegas. And I would say 2 years ago, now it's not just an all-Filipina cast. We have reached out to our Asian Pacific Islander sisters. So now the show is an API show. So we had Fiona Ma, Helen Zia.
Hey, I was in the first one.
Yes, you were in the first one. That's right. You were in the premiere show.
Exactly.
We were struggling struggling at that time. We didn't really know what the show was about.
No, I had a ball with,
it was really exciting.
With Edna
Rodiz.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
And really Lisa Yuchenko, and it was directed by Bernardo.
Oh yeah, how is he?
Yeah, he's good. We communicate all the time, and of course we translated the show to Tagalog. So for a while we're putting on Usaping Puki, which is the Tagalog version of the Vagina monologues.
Oh God! I mean, I hope that the audience have seen the Vagina monologue. It's quite a major undertaking. It's an excellent performance.
We do it now every May during Asian Pacific Heritage Month at the Herbst Theater. We've always done it at the Herbst Theater, and we've taken it to different areas so we can reach out to the Filipino American community.
That's excellent. Hey, speaking of Claire Timponko, what happened? Something happened recently, right? They won a jury verdict.
Yeah, what happened was the murderer, after 8 years, finally, Claire Joyce's murderer was arrested, as you know, in Mexico.
From Mexico,
And so he was sentenced for second-degree murder from, I think, up to 15 years. 8 to 15 years, but they appealed the verdict and it was overturned, basically saying that the jury instructions was incorrect. So now this is going. It's a little complicated, but basically it was about jury instructions, and so now the case is really on appeal. So the Attorney General Kamala Harris has requested that the Court of Appeal decision be reversed, and so we're hoping to. It's going to be a couple of years before
the
Court of
the guy
Supreme
now?
Court. He's in prison.
Oh,
he's still in prison. He won't be released. So this basically just says that if we lose this appeal with the Supreme Court, there will be a new trial. And we don't want that, obviously. So we're working on.
How stupid could that be?
I know, but that's our democracy. That's our justice system.
Yeah.
We're obviously very disappointed.
Okay, but she got the $500,000. Was that through the civil proceeding?
Yes, this was basically because the city of San Francisco failed her.
Exactly.
And failed Claire Joyce Timponko. She did all the right things. She had a restraining order. She was calling the police.
Her mother is really a nice
woman. And so now her mother is really raising the two kids.
Exactly.
They're teenagers now. And they've been attending our meetings with the Court of Appeal.
You would hope that there would be a closure on that after all that murder.
Yes, I know. And so it was really a shock for all of us when the decision from the Court of Appeal came out and said that the jury instructions were incorrect.
So then what? It's going before the
California Supreme Court. They've agreed to review the case. So now we're preparing the paperwork and the briefs. And the Filipino Women's Network will probably submit an amicus.
Oh wow, that's excellent.
In support of the verdict, not the Court of Appeal verdict, but the original verdict. But it's going to be a long process. They said that it's probably going to be 12 to 18 months, maybe a couple of years, before the Supreme Court will actually be able to review.
Okay, now the guy does not have money, so was it the Public Defender's Office who did that?
There's a group I understand of lawyers who automatically help those who get sentenced to appeal their cases. So I don't know particularly.
How about trying to help innocent people, huh?
Exactly. Yeah, I know. We were shocked. I was shocked anyway and outraged.
What law group is that?
You would know. You're in law school.
Oh, that's horrible. But that's the great thing about the Filipino Women's Network. And then, of course, the Chief Justice Tani.
Yeah, the California Chief Justice Tani has been very supportive of the Filipino Women's Network. Of course, we're very proud of her. Second woman, first Filipina, and first Asian American to be Chief Justice of the Supreme Court. If you can imagine, 100 years ago, Asians were not allowed to own property. They were not allowed to marry outside of their race. There were so many things that we were not allowed to do, and now here we are. We have an Asian, a Filipino American, who is the California Chief Justice, who was elected, by the people.
Well, my cousin and I had dinner with Gloria Ochoa, right? She's talking about you.
Yeah.
She was involved. Was she involved in the Vagina monologue as well?
Yes, she's actually one of our Vagina warriors. Every year we select advocates of domestic violence, either those who have experienced domestic violence or violence in their lives, or have been advocates or or witnesses to violence, and Gloria Ochoa is one of those.
Oh yeah, she's incredible.
She when she was in the Senate, she was the counsel for in the Senate
Committee,
in Judiciary Committee. She authored a bill,
the Whistleblower Protection Act.
Yeah, there you go. You probably know more than me. But the other thing I want to mention about Gloria is that Justice Tani honors her as someone who has inspired her.
Exactly.
To, to not only as a child, as high school, but also to go to law school.
Exactly.
Apparently, when Justice Tani was still in high school, her mother took her to a meeting when Gloria was first elected to the city council to meet, you know what we do, Filipino Americans. We honor our elected officials and our celebrities. And that really made an impact on Justice Tani's life. And so, and so that was kind of how she ended up really being inspired by, here's this Filipino woman. Not only was she first elected Filipina in California, but also an attorney. Gloria is considered the first.
I mean, yes, she was sharp.
She was the first Filipina to graduate law school from UC Davis. So she's quite something else. I'm so honored to get to know them.
I think she might be running for public office again.
Really?
She ran for Congress.
Yes, against the former husband of Ariana Huffington.
I know she was lost. Poised to get that seat.
Yeah,
because she was from Santa Barbara, right? Next thing you know, Huffington just moved
early with his
district.
Millions.
Exactly, and beat her.
It takes money to win these elections, but that was pretty brave and that was pretty historic. And I'm so glad that
I think she's enamored with the idea of running again.
And she should. She inspired so many Filipino women, and not just Filipino women, and young girls, but women per se. I think she should. She's retired now from the Senate Judiciary, so I'd love to be able to work with her again.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. So you have all of these women, I mean, that you showcase the talent, the smarts, the abilities of these Filipino women. I think it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Well, the mission of the Filipino Women's Network is to advance Filipino women in the U.S. And so what we've done in 2006, we at the Filipina Summit, we meet every year for the Filipina Summit, as you know, and we came up with, we did a future search process, and basically what we came up with was, what is it that we really want to do, what we want to accomplish. What came out of that summit is that we want to develop the next generation of leaders. So then we said, well, who are our leaders? Because, we're based in California, and of course, who the leaders in the Bay Area. So we decided to launch Pinay Power 2012, a 6-year program really to look for Filipino women who are influencing their communities, their organizations, their industries in the U.S. And so and we launched the search for the 100 most influential Filipino women in the U.S. That was in 2007, and that was amazing. We were in D.C. for that.
Like this thousands of women.
Yeah, and then we had this is actually the first group in Washington D.C.
Wow.
And we had hundreds of nominations, and of course we only wanted to select the 100. But this is a working award, Myrna. What we're saying.
Can you spot some of the women here?
Yeah, and what we're asking these women is to woman tour a young Filipina and bring them to our Pinay Power 2012 reunion, which is next year, and will be held here in San Francisco. So we selected another group in 2009, and then this year will be the third and final group of Filipino American women, and our summit will be in October 13th to the 15th in San Francisco at the Stanford Court Hotel. So this will be the third group of 100 influential Filipino American women in the United States. And I think we have over 20 states represented. So we're excited about that. And it's just amazing to hear all the things that they've accomplished, in many ways, in small ways, in big ways, like we have about 3 women in the military who are at the general level now.
Really?
Yeah, and so aside from Dr. Connie Mariano, who was the physician to Bill Clinton and Al Gore, we have Captain Bono, who's now at the general level. We have Rear Admiral Eleanor Valentin. So we're just so proud of what they've done in the military, for example. And
well,
of
how
course,
about the cook?
Yeah. Oh, yes. The executive chef of the White House, Cristela. She's Filipina. We're hoping that she would be able to make it. Because one of the things that we require is that they have to appear. They have to receive the award because we want to bring all the 100 together.
Right.
And if they're not available, then we'll catch you the next time. The energy, look at this picture. The energy of having all these 100 women together is just amazing. They get to know each other. They build relationships. Develop these bonds of friendship. And they get to know each other from all over the U.S.
Exactly. But, I mean, you're also, you're not just talking about women, too, because I remember when the whole sort of fiasco came out with Major General Taguba, remember?
Yes.
I mean, the FWN came out in support of
definitely.
Taguba.
We definitely
I love that
supported.
guy.
Yes,
I mean, he is the epitome of a classy kind of guy with
very
so much
principled,
integrity.
And high integrity. Yes, and as a matter of fact,
they treated him like dirt. Remember?
Yeah, I believe that. And he also during this time was telling me about all the abuses that are being perpetrated on Filipino women in the military, and that's really one of the things that we haven't really looked into. But and there I know internally they have a domestic violence awareness campaign. And there is also a mentoring program within the military, and General Taguba is actually one of that. But we really need to. There's so much to do, and yet we also have a lot of amazing women who are doing amazing things in their own environments.
Now, so you've done the Vagina Monologue, but you're also helping with the Pistahan.
Yes, yeah. I used to be on the board of Pistahan when Al Perez took over about a few years ago.
Yeah.
And
it's a lot of work.
It is a lot. It's coming up soon. It's always the second weekend of August in Yerba Buena Gardens in San Francisco. We take over the Heritage Pavilion. This year the theme is heroes and of course sheroes. So we will be presenting the sheroes monologues.
Sheroes.
And sheroes. These are actually stories of the women of the Philippine Revolution.
Oh wow.
And it's really a very moving and touching series of stories. Elena Mangajas and Sol Manaay,
she's funny. She's a good actress.
And a few of us kind of research the stories of who are these women who were helping win the revolution. Again, it's part of why we launched Pinay Power 2012. In 2006, we celebrated our 100 years of Filipino migration to the U.S., and there was very little about women.
Exactly.
Filipino women. And so that's why we said, never again.
You also have the Filipina for President Award, right? You gave me one of those.
Yes, and you were one of the first recipients.
Thank you.
It's actually now a leadership development program. It's Filipino women who could be president.
Oh, right.
So basically what it is again nurturing our young women, and not necessarily young women, maybe those who are, empty nesting and they're ready to give back to the community. And so we're actually launching it in the fall. This is going to be a year-long program. And it is basically looking at their skills and strengths, and we actually have 4 tracks. It's not just about running for office. It's about entrepreneurship. It's about running for political office, which is public service. Of course, advancing yourself in the military, and what's the 4th? But anyway, and within the corporation, because there are people who really helping them, navigate their way through the corporate world.
And not only you don't just focus with Filipino women too. I mean, you also have partnerships with the California Leadership Committee.
The Leadership California organization, and the Friends of the San Francisco Commission and the Status of Women.
Status of Women.
Yeah, so what we have found with Filipino Women's Network is that we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Exactly.
And that it's really important to create strategic alliances and partnerships, because there's a lot of other organizations there, not just women's groups, but men's groups, who are doing the same things that we're doing. So we try to align ourselves and say, what are you doing that we can collaborate? Like the Leadership California Women Lead. They launched this campaign to have more women appointed by the governor. And
good luck on that one.
Yeah, well, but sometimes these are baby steps. I have to say, one of our members just got appointed, Judge Rosa Moran, and she's an administrative law judge, and she got just appointed by Jerry Brown to.
Who I would really love to get promoted is Judge Kidashay.
Yeah. Well, you know, he's not he's a guy. He's not a Filipino
Come on, who
woman.
cares? I mean, I've always had a crush on
Yeah.
Judge
Q. Yeah.
He was so handsome, remember?
Yeah,
He's like
yeah.
Christopher Reeve, and he's so
Yeah,
smart.
yeah,
I mean, you know,
yeah.
everybody had crushes on
Yeah,
Judge
well,
Q.
he's-
But I think
he's
he should
very-
be like
yeah.
Court of Appeals or
Yeah,
something like that.
well, you know, the Filipino men need to get organized. You know, Jerry Brown just appointed someone to the Supreme Court, an Asian guy. I can't remember his
Gordon,
name. Gordon Liu. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was kind of
Already in the pipeline.
well, I think President Obama was supposed to appoint him to the federal
Federal Court of
appeals
Appeal.
court.
Yeah.
Right. But
Yeah. Now
the,
he's going to be the chief in the California
Right,
Supreme
but the
Court.
Republicans
But you see, here's the thing, though.
sabotaged that appointment.
It's really very important for us to build our pipeline of qualified
hang on a
Filipino
second.
women.
We're running out of time, so there's one question that I really
Okay.
want to ask you.
Oh, okay.
You've been appointed by Ed Lee to the Redistricting Committee.
Yes.
Okay, I know you can't say much about that, but something tells me that interim Mayor Ed Lee is running for permanent Mayor Ed Lee.
I don't know that. I don't know his plans. My understanding officially he's not running for office. Yes, he did appoint me to the San Francisco Redistricting Task Force, so
Okay.
there's going to be a huge job ahead of me.
Exactly.
And it really is very important for not just me personally, but for our community because there's a lot of
Exactly.
Asian Americans.
Okay, we're running out of time. We have less than 1 minute. See how fast this thing goes. So tell our audience about your schedule.
So please come to the Filipina Leadership Summit,
Right. And
October
how do they get a hold
13th
of
to the
you?
15th.
Phone number?
Well, FilipinaWomen'sNetwork.org.
Okay.
And our phone number is, just go there because I don't know our phone number, but Filipina@ffwn.org. To email me, it's better. That's the best way to get hold of me. Thank you so much, Myrna. This is fun.
Oh, it's a pleasure. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to watch the Vagina Monologues. I had a blast when I first saw that.
Yeah, in May next year,
May next
2011,
year,
Herbst
May next
Theater.
year. And I kept on telling her, how about the menopause? That would be fun.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we'll see you again next time. We have a special guest next time, too. Good night.